All right, let's move into our main topic for today. We have a tendency sometimes to talk about creative living and being a creative professional in a way that's like making sure people know how hard it is. You know,
It's very serious business.
We want people to know how serious we are and how much work it is, you know, to be a creative professional. And I'm like tired of listening to it, to be honest with you. So today I want to talk about the simple pleasures, okay? I want to talk about the weird little things that you love in your craft. We each have kind of independent crafts, if you will. And so I bet we're going to have kind of a wide range of little weird joys. So we're just going to pass the baton around talking about the weird things we like and see how it goes. Does that sound okay?
Great.
Okay. Tom, what's something weird that you just love about what you do?
Well, I don't know that any of my things are going to be particularly weird. I'm sorry, but they're going to be small things. They're going to be
you would like me to
abstract things.
relabel
No,
it as
I'm just
small?
apologizing for myself in advance. Everyone else can be weird.
Okay.
Let's see. Something that I really like. I like filling notebooks. There's just something very satisfying about filling up a
filling
notebook.
It,
Or just by having,
page.
like, look at this stack of notebooks that has, hath been filled with stuff, with ideas. Like, I really like that on my shelf there's this stack of these notebooks from Unsettled that are just like, I'll probably never look at them again. But there they are if I want to in 20 years go back and look at the original notes that eventually led to this thing.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Until you have to move.
Yeah. Though I'm getting much better. In the past when we've had to move, like the Tom is a problem has been much more extreme than it is these days, because I used to like have all these designs that I was going to like do all these weird art projects with found things. So every time we moved, it was like, and I have 17 milk crates full of tire irons
Are you serious?
and like railroad ties, and I'm very serious. Like, look at all these rocks. That's all gone now. Another moment I really like is in-game design. I love the moment where we cut something away, the like kill your darlings moment, but then everything feels so like you can just feel like it's let its shoulders out and the whole design feels better instantly because you removed something. Like, that is such a satisfying part, because we will cram so many, like every conceivable idea into this system. And then there's this process of peeling them away, and every one that we peel off, it's like, yes, the game is so much better now. And we just do that over and over again. It's wonderful.
Peel away the layers.
Yes.
What I like about your notebooks thing is, for me, I work so much in the digital space that there's almost nothing that I can point to in real life that's like, I made that. That is it's tough for me sometimes. And so talking about you having those notebooks, it makes me think about maybe I need to just do a little bit more writing in notebooks to have something material to show for my thoughts, ideas, creations.
More than half of what I do is on the computer. I use like a note app. So everything is organized and I can type so much faster than I can write. And I find myself forcing myself off of the computer into the notebook sometimes, just so that I have that like that little experience. And then it ends up working really well for me because it's a different space and it makes my mind work differently. But that's always the reason I go there. It's not because like I'm really smart and good at understanding that going over here is going to make my brain work differently and I'm going to be a better designer because
just, like,
of it.
want to be able
it's
to
just
point
like
at
I want to
something.
have my stack of notebooks for myself. And so but it all works out.
Okay, I like that. Jared, what's something weird that okay, it doesn't have to be weird. What's a little thing that brings some joy to you?
Similar, but not similar to Tom, but not mechanical, but narrative.
Okay.
Condensing, trimming, efficiency, flow, creating. That when my first iteration of a paragraph is really wordy, and that part of my brain that just like wants to use a whole bunch of big words in a row just like went crazy. And then later on I realized that we also needed to have some sort of mechanical explanation on the page, and so now all the jokes, and also, or not all the jokes, but the best joke or two and the important narrative now has to be condensed from a paragraph and a half to like 2.5 sentences. And the flow and efficiency of using just the words that you need and having it flow not just logically, but also as we're playtesting, I'm listening to people read all the narrative out loud, and it's like, oh, that didn't flow exactly right. Let me see if I can switch that up, and making the narrative stuff like satisfying to read is a really fun little thing that I like.
it's interesting. It's that element. It's not quite restraint. What is that when you can take something that had took up so much landscape, took up so much real estate, so much space, and bring it down to something that makes more sense with less words? That is satisfying. Why?
You can just feel how refined it has become. Like you've peeled away all the extra, and you're just like it's potent.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's potent. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I totally
Concentrated.
Get that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Oh, I like that. Krista, give me something fun, a little joy in your work and your craft.
I love like the physicality of the writing or drawing implement on paper. I have this certain fountain pen that just the way that it feels when the tip touches the paper and the ink flows, it's just like that feeling just makes me, it's almost regardless of what I'm actually drawing, just that feeling is so good. Similarly with brush pens or like watercolor, letting the ink spread out onto the page. There's something about that tactility that I don't know what it is. It just, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. One that I have is, so a lot of times what I'm doing when I'm working in social media and content strategy is I'll be kind of interviewing somebody, right? I'll talk to them, try to get them to tell me a bunch of content. I'll take notes kind of wildly. And then, what I'm basically doing is while they're talking, I'm kind of crafting what they're saying into like a social media post. And the reaction that I can get sometimes when somebody talks for 5 minutes, oh my gosh, it's almost the same thing of what you two are talking about. When somebody can talk for 5 minutes and I can repeat back to them, okay, so here's how I wrote that out, and I've got 2 sentences I say back to them, and when their reaction is, yes, that's exactly what I was trying to say.
Maybe they didn't even realize it yet.
Yes, it's that validation of somebody feeling seen and heard by me being able to take in their information and regurgitate it.
And you having the experience of knowing, like, you just cut through and got to the heart of something.
Yes,
that's awesome.
Exactly.
I love that.
And it is funny that I didn't realize until I was saying it out loud, but it's in
refining.
harmony with what you two are saying. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
I've got another one.
Good.
Something that I really like is whenever Justin and I have an opportunity to score one of our videos and compose some music.
10 out of 10.
And we'll sit down and we'll watch it, and we're like trying to capture the vibe. And then once the video's done, we'll say some words back and forth to each other about the color and the content of the music. We'll start talking about different instrumental options and like, you know, obviously in your head when you have an idea, you know that you know, you think that it's good, but sometimes when somebody else is trying to pitch their idea to you, like, you don't immediately see its value. And something that has happened over and over and over again during those composition sessions is one of us will pitch an idea to the other, and the other will either A, not understand the idea, or B, will think that the idea is you know, not worth doing. But once we move past that and explore it a tiny bit, the true value that is brought forth, and we both can actually see that it was beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
it's hard to push past that initial feedback. Do you think that because you two have so much kind of trust in each other that it's more comfortable?
It does
to be
require a
able to
lot
push
of trust.
that?
I mean, during the first like 4 or 5 times that it happened, when we would hit those moments where it's like, you know, I don't know if that is a good use of our time, like exploring that idea. You feel like you are, you know, punching your friend in the face, because as artists we identify our creative like the things that we make and we create in our brain, we identify with them as like part of us. I think a lot of us. Mm-hmm. And so when somebody expresses that they don't think your idea is as strong or as like useful at getting across the point or emotion or setting that we're trying to get, that, you know, it takes time and trust to not let those things negatively impact you emotionally and like your self-esteem and your view of yourself as an artist when you're collaborating.
So how do you push past that?
Well, I mean, just open communication, like the moment that it's like, I feel like the way that you said that or turned down that idea made it seem like you know, didn't consider it, and just being open during those moments, so that you don't just like take that as a note for the future where it's like they were condescending to me and they didn't see the value of my idea. But if you said in the moment, like, you know, I don't know if you're I don't know if you're seeing the real value of what I'm trying to say, you can like work through that and get to a place where both of you are like at a mutual understanding, and you don't just leave it at the frustration.
That's a huge importance of trust in creative relationships.
I have some other ones, but I want to jump on this for a second because something that I really love about this job, this is something Dinah and I were talking about on Monday after the most recent meeting of coming up with ideas for you to draw.
I like your finger wiggle, by the way.
This is new. Is one of the things I really love about this job is watching Jared present ideas in a meeting. Because, yes, because Jared, now it's time to have creative ideas. And Jared is the person in the room who will just continue having ideas. And you can see on your face every time you give an idea that, like, you are a raw nerve right now. Like, you have put your idea out there and you are feeling very sensitive about, like, everyone's, like, facial expressions as you're talking. And then, like, almost every single time there's a little bit of hurt on your face. Like, no one's like jumping up and down with how great this idea is. Even if we all like it, even if it's a great idea, like it's never quite received in the way that takes you like to feeling like super secure.
Yeah.
And then, but that never stops you. You bring another idea and another idea and another idea. And it's the exact same look on your face every single time, but you keep bringing it. And what Dinah and I were talking about was the thing that's so amazing about that is like the floor needs that person. We need someone when we say, now we're doing creative brainstorming, to have someone that is just fearless, to just be constantly presenting ideas so that everyone else at the table feels really safe to like also have ideas. Like if everyone's just sitting there silently thinking, like that's a scary environment.
Somebody has to
bring your idea into. You're like, well, now I'm going to talk, and I think this is really good because I'm breaking the silence for it.
Yes.
But if Jared is just pumping ideas over there in the corner, now everyone else in the room feels comfortable sharing. And that is something that I super appreciate about you and about this job. As for relational things, you got me thinking of one. I really like how the nature of a lot of what I do here enables me to seek like feedback or advice or insight from other people, particularly my wife, Dinah. And you know, I could seek it from anyone, but you know, she's my favorite. And because you know, it's not like you need some sort of like technical institutional knowledge to really connect or like give me advice on what I'm doing. It's like, is this funny? Is this emotionally resonant? Like, am I sending the wrong message here? What would make this work better? This doesn't feel right, whether it's some sort of game experience or a story or some sort of community messaging. Like, everything that I do, for the most part, like, I can connect with other people about it and ask them about it, and they're interested in it. And, so I don't have some job that, like, I can only communicate about it with the other small subset of people who know what the heck I'm talking about, which is really satisfying.
Yeah, anybody can have ideas. It's really nice having all of my people that I use as sounding boards in my life who at first glance, or if I were to ask them like, hey, could I bounce ideas off you for a board game? They might be like, I actually don't want to have that conversation because I'm not interested.
Yeah.
But if they don't know that's what we're talking about, and I'm just like presenting it as like, oh, narratively in this kind of situation, what would you do? Like, what kind of things would you want to be able to do in this situation? And then I am thinking like, how could I implement that mechanically? And so I always see those conversations with outsiders who are not making who aren't actually making the board games as useful, because even if they might not think that they would have something that could contribute if I introduce the concept to them outside of the parameters of like helping me design a board game, and I'm just like, hey, if you were in this particular situation, what would you do, or what tools would you try to fashion, or like how would you respond to this situation? And then I am doing the work of thinking about how that could be implemented mechanically.
I actually love being a part of those conversations too. Some of my favorite times is when you or Mark and Tom will like take me on a walk, and they're like, okay, so if this happens, what do you feel because of that? And I just feel so valuable as part of those conversations, and that's probably how other people feel too when you're coming to them asking for that kind of feedback, you feel valuable to be able to kind of speak into a story that way based on your own experience.
Well, and you are valuable. And that's part of what's so satisfying is that, like, all these people in your life, or even just, you know, the most important people in your life can be valuable to what you're doing because they understand what the heck is going on.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of you? I want more weird Krista things.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, I really like when I am out in a forest or anywhere really, and I just see a face staring back at me.
Like
Yes.
in
in
nature.
the bark. Yeah, I'm sure.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it's like, well, there that already is fully formed, and I just have to draw it because it's so clearly just like looking at me.
Mm-hmm. Those little face recognition. Does it only happen in the forest or does it happen in other places?
No, everywhere.
Like on my mic where there's the
Yes,
little
please,
bite
yes.
marks and there's a...
Take a little
Show the
face.
camera. Show the camera. His name is Mike, and
Hey, Mike.
Okay, I have one that I would say is really, it is kind of that weird little thing that is interesting. So on Facebook specifically, whenever I'm doing presence management, so that's basically like going in and kind of interacting with other people who are interacting with our content and that kind of thing. When you promote a post on Facebook, it significantly increases the reach and engagement, right? And so there's like a whole grip of new people who liked the post, and then you can click on it and see the people who liked the post, and then there's a little invite button next to it, and you can click the invite button to like invite them to like your page, and like going through and clicking all the invite, there is something about that experience that is like one of my favorite things to do.
I used to do that all the time. I haven't done that in a very long time. I need to get back into that little...
That little invite habit.
Yeah, when Teresa started, she took over doing that.
There's probably tons to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. One of the things that I really love is I love that my children can understand what I do, at least sort of. You know, it's not like this abstract thing the dad goes and does. And I also love that the nature of what I do could conceivably inspire them on some level, or at least like model for them that like you can do something for passion and not a paycheck. Like, so when they grow up, even if they think like board games are, you know, frivolous and silly or whatever, like whatever their thing is, like they can pursue it because that's what dad did. I really like that. I really like that that the nature of our work begs for me to really bring something out of myself. Like if I'm writing or working on a game or doing something where I'm leading the team in something and like I'm going through the motions, like that becomes really evident to me in the result. And it's only when I like really crack something open inside and put Tom into it that it starts feeling like, okay, this is right now. I did this well. And
sometimes you can't do that every time because sometimes you just have to get stuff done, and so maybe it doesn't have
it doesn't always
Tom
happen.
cracked open
But the
in
work
it.
is begging for it.
Yeah.
And in other jobs that I've had, like there's not even room for that if I wanted to.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
It's
Color
like
code the spreadsheet? Wow.
Yeah,
so
you know, like I
impressive.
really poured myself into designing this internal process for how we're going to do things 5% more efficiently. Like that's not Tom opening his soul in a way that makes the thing better and touches people's lives. But everything we do here begs for that, which is very satisfying. Like there's as much of that available to me as I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that and relate to that. That kind of leads me into another one too that's very similar but a little bit different, is where I am working within these constraints that are given. You know, like we need something that fits this and has these elements in it, and I'm working within that, and then I can just see that what comes out of it, well, like what I create to fit those constraints, also is a summation of everything that I've been reading and thinking and processing and experiencing, and I didn't even realize it. But then when I'm given this set of constraints and I make something for that, I can just see it staring back at me, all these things that I've been processing. And sometimes that's a surprise. Like I didn't realize that you know, that was happening. And yet there it is. I've just created it. I can see it staring back at me. I think that's one of the great joys of it.
Ooh, that's like one of mine really is listening back to my content and like hearing myself summarize something that like I need in that moment. I'm like, oh, that's, that's where this has, that's this healing that I've been working on. There it is on camera,
And isn't that really surprising when realizing, oh, I already knew that?
Yes.
Like I'm hearing myself say that. I already knew that back then.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Back in our barn days, those barn day
Good old barn
podcasts.
days. What other things do you have?
Well, I mean, I actually kind of wanted to move into a question about whether or not we're conscious of these little joys when they're happening, or if it's just that as we reflect back, we can identify them.
I want to talk about one more before we move on then.
Okay.
I have one more too.
Okay.
So
It's a good question.
Thanks for the validation.
You're very welcome. You may speak now, George.
one of the most impactful and the parts of the job that makes me the most happy is the fact that I know that I am working towards somebody else's enjoyment.
Interesting.
Like a big part of my life and internal drive, like as a performer, as an entertainer, is I love sharing this eternal burst of sunshine that I have inside of me that makes me so happy when I am like up there dancing or singing or whatever, and sharing that with somebody else. And holy cow, I lost train of thought. What was I saying?
Just a lot of what your enjoyment comes from is knowing that you're creating something for someone else.
And so, like similar to Dungeons and Dragons, where I love playing, but just as much as I love playing, I really, really love being the DM, and like trademark Jared Lingle, I love being the fun facilitator. I think that like I get just as much fun doing things for myself as like setting up a fun experience for other people to go through and watching them go through it. God, it's just like I'm making somebody else happy.
Yeah, the end result of our work here is pretty satisfying.
Yeah.
Definitely. My other thing was that I love that as someone who's in sort of a hiring position, that we have the potential here when we hire people that when someone gets hired to work for a company like this, like you feel like you've gotten away with something, like you've gotten one over on the world,
Yes.
like you've won the lottery in some sort of way, and it, not everyone's going to feel exactly that way, but a lot of people will. And the fact that most people, at least people our age, maybe that's different now, but most people didn't grow up thinking like, I want to go and work for a board game company. Like it's not something that you planned on, and so you feel like you just fell into that, like the universe just conspired to give you this weird fun job that like your friends are jealous of, and we have the ability to like gift that to people by bringing them in. And just knowing that that's the experience that people have when they come on is really, really satisfying. Because in the past, when I've hired someone, it's been like they might be proud of having a job or having the title or having a paycheck, but it's all things that have to do with like status or achievement or security. But here it's just like being able to say that you work at this place is in and of itself like something that people are giddy about.
Yeah.
And that is really satisfying.
I get a similar feeling in my own business too when I see like one of my employees post something that's like, I love my job, and they put quotes around it and talk a little bit about how happy they are in the culture and environment. There isn't a dopamine hit, like, or maybe that's even serotonin. This is like real long-term happiness coming from these when people are like satisfied with their life situation because of effort that you've put into something, because of something that you've built. That's like real joy.
Yeah, you've made these jobs that people can now come into, and it changes their life.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very, very satisfying. So let's get to what you were wanting to talk about.
So do we notice these joys in the moment? Do we appreciate them in the moment, or is it something where we're only really thinking about it and appreciating it as we go, as we reflect back?
I think for me, part of what is so joyful about the joys is that they inherently take me right into that moment. So I am
They
there.
take you. I like that.
Yeah, so I'm there appreciating. I can't not be feeling the tactility of these materials, and it puts me there right in the moment. So I would say yes, I'm conscious of it at the time mostly.
You too?
Definitely. When I'm condensing a huge paragraph, or when I all of a sudden have a flash of inspiration and I can see like the whole arc of what the survival task is going to be and how epic and cool it's going to be. like both of those like moments where the creativity takes you, the muse descends, and you are like ready to move forward with your creation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Do you realize it?
I realize it too. I think I didn't used to. You know, it used to be something where it's like I'd have to mindfully be like, you need to reflect on these things and like appreciate stuff. But I think, you know, as I've gotten older, but particularly since my surgery, like I am slowed down more, and I realize all the time, like, I'm loving this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this moment is awesome, and what this person is doing is great, and I'm really appreciating this experience or the ability to do this. Like, so I am appreciating things more in the moment now, and being less concerned with all the things that don't bring something like that.
Mm-hmm. It feels like these little bits of joy to me, it feels like alignment, doesn't it? Like when we're able to have these kind of joys in our work, that feels like alignment, like harmony. Like when somebody hits a bell gong and it sounds just right. It's like this alignment that is important.
So you're saying like we're in the right place?
Maybe not like from a physical space, but like when your talents and skills meet your opportunity and you show up for it, even if that means you made the choice of walking into the forest today and the face stared back at you from the bark, like that joy I feel like is a symptom of alignment.
Absolutely.
Doing and being where maybe you make the most impact.
Yeah, and I think that's really good phrasing of it too. A good way of capturing that specific sensation of just like yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Because why is it important that we even care that we have these little moments of joy? Like we can make an income, we can get stuff done, we can make cool games for people to play, but like why is it even important that we feel these little sparks of joy? Why do we even care to talk about it? Because I think we're in alignment and we do the best work. We live the best life when we're in a space where we're consciously aware of these moments of alignment. We're focusing on them. We're looking for them. We're grateful for them.
Yeah, I no longer have any. I mean, of course, everyone wants a work experience where they're having those experiences. But like, I'm over accepting a work experience that doesn't provide them.
Yeah.
Like, no more.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Well, thank you for bringing your weird little things or your normal little things to this. This was fun. I would love to hear more about other people's weird, fun little things that they enjoy in their job.
There's a lot of opportunity here to get into more of the things that like Krista was talking about. Like I love the texture of the feel of the pen on the paper. Like I bet people have some jobs where there are very specific weird little things like that would be very fun to hear about. Like
yeah, tell us about them.
Like moving the forklift just right and all these like I have little things from past jobs where it was just like these physical experiences that no one else would have. I would love to hear other people's.
All right, let's wrap it up so that they can leave a comment. So have a good day, everybody. If you want to talk to us more, orangenebula.com/topics. Have a good day. We adore you. Stay inspired. Goodbye. Whew. Wow. What a journey. Outpost Podcast Season 2 wrapped. I'm tired. You want Outpost Season 3? It's coming, okay? You don't have to wait too long, but in the meantime, you can hang out with us on the Outpost Community on Facebook, on Discord, orangenebula.com/Discord, and I'll see you there.